Hello everybody and welcome to the second Camogie Association webinar of the Ready Steady Go series. Today we are looking at the youth age group, so age 13 to 17, and as per usual we have two special guests to take you through the session today. Our first special guest is Mr. Pat English. Pat is the current mentor to the Carlow Minor Camogie team, having worked with the group all the way from under 14s up through the levels. He has an interest in long-term player development, as he's completed his BSc from Setanta College, and he's also previously worked with the Carlow Hurlers, minors, under 21s and seniors. Joining Pat today, we have Mrs. Orla Dormer. Orla is currently a PE teacher in Buddhist Vocational School in Carlow. She won the All-Ireland with her native county Kildare, and she got vast experience training youths as well as adults. She currently trains her school teams, and she also trains the intermediate camogie team, Barrow Rangers in Kilkenny. Pat and Orla, welcome to both of you. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you coming on and taking the time. So we'll get cracking.
Yep.
Same format as we usually have, so we'll have the three questions we have for you. First question we've got is involving players at the moment. So we're looking at in the current situation with the lockdown and not being able to have any access to players. The first question is how much should players be doing at the moment, and how much input should coaches have into that? Orla, we'll start off with you.
Okay. Hi Stuart. Hi Pat. I suppose when we're dealing with youths, we've a vast age group here. We have 13 all the way to 17. For the 13, 14, and now maybe 15, 16s, they have a lot more free time in their hands with, you know, being at home, and the junior cert is now not going ahead, so they have a bit more time to play around with, whereas the older end of this group, the 17-year-olds, are still, some of them, preparing for their leaving cert, albeit later in the summer. So I suppose we have a wide variety of ages and I suppose circumstances. So I think for the leaving certs and anyone studying hard, I think the camogie and all the skills challenges and everything that are going on now are brilliant, and they're a break and they're fresh air, and all of that is needed when you're trying to study. So from a coach's point of view, I would say to keep it simple. Whatever you want your players to do, from under 14s up to under 17s, under 18s, whatever it is, to keep it really simple, that if you're sending through a skills challenge or drills or tasks or runs or strength and conditioning work, whatever it may be, it has to be simple, because parents are under a lot of pressure at the moment. They're getting a lot of emails, a lot of messages, you know, things coming through from educational apps. They're also trying to work from home. They're also trying to make sure that their teenagers are doing their school work. They're trying to feed all these people and stay on top of their work, and it's a pressurized situation. So the last thing they want is a big long rigmarole coming through from coaches 5 and 6 times a week as to what they want their players to do. So to coaches, I would say keep it simple. Like, set yourself that on a Monday morning or a Monday evening, whatever it is, or Sunday evening, that you're sending through the work as such that you want your team to do for the week. But it should be so simple that, like, if it was me and I was receiving the message, that I can literally say to my daughter, look, this is your trainer, this is what you have to do this week, that I can hand her the phone, and it's so simple that she can follow it. All right. Otherwise, I think maybe for some parents, the message will get lost in translation as to what you actually want them to do. So I think that maybe is an important message there. I'd say for the younger age group, for 13, 14, 15 year olds, see this as a huge opportunity for growth. You know, there's no matches going on now on a Sunday, right, or a Saturday evening. But I remember growing up, there'd be a match on, and you'd see a player doing something on the pitch, and you'd be straight out the back, and you'd be trying to practice it, practice that skill or replicate it. So if it was me and I was that age, like, everybody's on the internet, they're all on the internet, they're brilliant on their phones, brilliant with technology. I would, you know, the coach could say that they have to go and look up their favourite player and to pick 1 to 2 skills that player does, and to get out and practice it. You know, that thing that has a bit of flair in it, a bit of creativity, some kind of skill that's unique, that makes that player special, or that gives you that kind of energy from them. So I would set that maybe as a project for the younger end of the age group. They go out and they at home, they get their phone out and they look at their favourite player, whether it's Anne Dalton for Kilkenny or it's Mags Darcy when she played in goal for Wexford, or whatever it is. Or even if it's a closed skill like free taking or sideline cut, just somebody you admire and that you have, you know, that a skill that you really want to practice, to get out and practice it now, because you've loads and loads of time to do that. For the older age groups, I think coaches might be concerned with their fitness and perhaps with, you know, their strength and conditioning. So I would say there, as a coach, when girls get to 16, 17, they know what you know and what you don't know. So if strength and conditioning is not your area, you know, and you go sending through a whole lot of work, they'll be thinking, sure, what does he know or what does she know about it? All right. So it might be an idea to get a program from somebody. There will be somebody within your club who has a passion for it or has educational training in it, or, you know, might be a PE teacher or a sports scientist or have a degree in strength and conditioning, whatever it is. Seek them out. Get them to do a very simple program just on body weight that they can do at home.
Excellent, thanks, Orla. Pat, from your point of view, does the advice vary slightly coming from a development squad point of view?
No, I don't think so. I think, as Orla has alluded to, there's from 13 to 17, there are 3 different age groups and 3 brackets, and then in that 17 plus, there's transition year, 3rd year, and then 5th year doing leading cert. So there's really four groups there. So, but everything has to be geared to the space that they have available to them. You also have to take in consideration you could be in an apartment or you could be in a 100-acre field. So you have to take one into consideration. So what you send out has to be broken down again into those 3 different types of spaces: apartment block, a back garden that's sort of small to medium, and then you've got plenty of space. So each one has to take into consideration what you have. So you really have to send out 3 different programs. And as Orla said, it can't be every week. What I've done is I let them off for 3 weeks and said, done nothing until they were getting itchy, what's coming on. And then I sent them one program for the next 2 weeks. Now these are under 17, 18-year-old girls, so that's fine. And all it was we're just redoing what we've done over the previous couple of sessions. So there was nothing new. There's nothing. The only thing that was new was a challenge: keep the ball in the air for as long as you can, and that was it's a simple but difficult task. You're hitting the ball left to right up in the air as high as you can, and you don't control it. Just let fly off it when it comes back down. Pat Cody of St. Mullins put one up in St. Mullins or on Facebook, tapping the ball off the edge of the hurl, trying to keep it. So all those little things. There's another one going around, a ball in the bin, try and get the ball into your bin or something like that. So some people caught an ordinary domestic bin, and that was it, and that was fine. And there was the biggest bin and the smallest bin going around the neighbourhood to get a ball into it. That's fine. You're setting yourself a challenge, and I think space is key. For the 17-year-old, there's structured training sessions. They're doing a little bit of gym work, so they can do that at home. But as well as that, get out for a run. It can be as simple as that, and you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger all the time. I suppose we have to be very whatever we give. If something going out next week, it should be slightly different. So the challenge is different again when they come back. As I said, it's probably a good way to see our structured training versus unstructured training. If they're out, they're poking around, they're working, you're getting that little bit fitter every time you get out. The break-in training for the leaving cert, your transition year, you're doing nothing. Well, in some people's opinions, your parents are probably saying, well, get out from under my feet. So there's an opportunity to get out, bring a hurl, bring a ball with you, and use it. And you don't need massive space to take care of all this. But probably the most important thing is that just adhere to the guidelines. You're looking forward 4 weeks. It seems a long time, but look back 4 weeks. It's not that long. So you'll get through it. It's frustrating, but just keep doing the simple things. And just the simple thing is bring a hurl, bring a ball everywhere you go. Try not break a window because they're hard getting repaired, but they will be broken. It's just all part of normal life.
Parents everywhere sighing in relief there. Just on that, touching what Pat said there, Orla. So in terms of the balance between giving them a plan and tracking skills, what should the balance be between it being planned and tracked, or should you just be giving them fun things to do? As in terms of your focus, what do you think the balance should be?
Like, well, I see now in our club now at the moment, we're on our third week of sending out some kind of a skill, but this is now with the older girls, and they're sending back videos. And you know, when you put your coaching hat on, you're saying that could be way better, like, you know, in terms of technique, and you're dying to say to them, just you know, a couple of technical things like shorten your grip or step into the ball. If you're striking left, you know, step left, you're striking right, step right, that kind of thing. They can't fix that through videos and stuff. But with this age group, you know, with child protection guidelines, we can't actually see what they're doing because they can't be sending through videos as such. So, you know, you could go to great lengths, Stuart, and send through this magnificent training plan for kids. But how I interpret it as a mother and how someone else interprets it, or even as a player, is totally different. I think, back to what I said earlier, if you want them to go, as Pat said there, going for a run in their 2 kilometre radius is absolutely brilliant. Like 2 kilometres, you know, if it's on a road or a track, it's grand. Can you do it twice in the next 4 weeks? Can you do it 2.5 times? Can you do it 3 times? Like when you're doing your 2K run or your 1K run or whatever space you have available, can you sprint? Can you pick a target ahead in the road that you're going to sprint at, then jog, then sprint, and do some interval training? You know, that's unstructured as such, but you know, it might be more doable with the way that things are at the moment. Like, I think it's a great opportunity. You know, you could give a few ideas, you know, saying to them, whatever space you have to try and get in 20 sprints. And next week, as Pat said, you're varying it up, and maybe you might change direction in your sprint. Some kids will just throw out a couple of jumpers or a couple of water bottles, and they'll do their sprints out there, and they'll have a bit of fun with it. I think it's all about unstructured at the moment, because it's very hard to send out a detailed training plan to anybody, because you might have a plan in your head and you know what it is, but that might get lost in translation to somebody who's not a coach, and even for the players. Because if you go back to your basic coaching, you know, you introduce it, you demonstrate it, but like, we haven't got the forum for that at the moment. So like, I think just keeping it simple and encouraging different things like that. Go for your run, but make sure when you're doing your run that you do 5 sprints within the run, or you don't have the space in your back garden that you know, you have to get out and find somewhere that you can do that. That's what I would say. It's very difficult at the moment to keep it structured, and perhaps if you're nearly fighting a losing battle and trying to do that because you're not training collectively.
No, that's fair enough. And Pat, just on that, in terms of, do you think it's more important for the girls just to be interacting with each other via social media groups or whatever, or is it actually what they're doing that important as opposed to just interacting with each other?
Yes, it is, but you can't organise, because you have to remember that there's a code of ethics and a code of conduct there that you have to abide by that code at all times. If you want to contact the girls, you have to go through their parents or liaison officer. That's key. The next thing, they're going to have their own groups, but you can't control that, or you can't dictate that, because that's. I know the girls are connecting with one another. I know they're asking one another when they got the programme what was going on. But you have to trust that. You have to let them off, and as Orla said, it's unstructured. You're trying to put a little bit of structure on it. You're trying to get them out, get them involved, and make sure that they are. And maybe it'll come from within, that you'll really find that the person or the player who wasn't getting the attention at training because she was, call it, an average player, that she's actually out working and working really hard. And when she comes back, she could be actually the one who's after blossoming and turn into that inter-county player or senior club players, and as they are, and they keep coming. So maybe that player will actually develop and get her own time to develop in a normal and in an unstructured manner. Maybe that's good.
Okay, so in terms of, so now again, the feeling we're getting is you just let them, as long as they're doing something, that's fine. Keep it unstructured. In terms of things that you can control as a coach, in terms of, and this is an open question, say to both of you, in terms of getting in touch with keeping in touch with players and parents, how important do you think that should be at the moment, and how much contact do you think is appropriate?
As Pat said there, this age group is quite difficult because there is no direct communication with the player, so it is via the parents or the guardians. So really and truly, being honest about it, unless you're going to pick up the phone and ring the parent and see how they're getting on, I don't know really would too many parents appreciate that. But you know, at the moment, some would. You know yourself, you know the cohort of people you can ring and say, look, how is that going, if you need a bit of feedback. But it is a difficult one, because you know, this age group with child protection guidelines, we do have to be careful. And like as Pat said there, you kind of just have to trust that you're setting the work or whatever, and that they're going to get on with it. You can, as I say, check in with a couple of parents if you want. You know the ones that you can check in with, or that maybe aren't working from home, trying to do all their office work and stuff from home. So to judge it, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What we've done is we've created a group, just an email group with all the parents. We ask them for their email addresses and send out once a week, and that's it. Just one contact. If you have any questions, come back. If the girls are doing it, great. If they're not doing it, you'll know when you get back in the field, and after the second or third training session, they'll probably pay for it, and they'll probably know that. And that's a 17-year-old group. And the 14-year-old group, all you can do is just let them off and practice the skills. Keep practicing the skills. When they're 16, again the same. There's a little bit more, but hopefully they'll do that little bit of running or whatever, wherever they're asked to do. But it's just one contact a week is what I'd be saying. As Orla said earlier, there's a lot of things coming through, a lot of contacts, checking between the news and checking with their own family groups that they're hoping everyone's saying. So there is that pressure there, so you just want to reduce it as much as possible.
Superb. Okay, thanks to both of you. So just a quick sum up there. So you're thinking for this age group, keep it simple, as much fun as they can possibly have. You can give them some fun little challenges, copy their favorite players. As a coach, stick to your strengths. If it's not your area, try and find someone that it is their area. If they can pass on some advice, be aware that they will be getting quite a lot of advice from other places. There's a lot of that stuff out there, so keep in touch as a minimum, but don't be too overbearing in terms of what you're doing. Just let them have their space and let them have fun for that age group. Excellent. Question 2. We've got, in terms of, now you're looking at as the coaches themselves now. So as a coach themselves, we have a lot more time than we normally would at this part of the season. So what do you think coaches should be focusing on, and what do you think the benefits will be of some sort of coach development at the moment? Pat, we'll start with you in this one.
I suppose their first focus is probably on their families. They have to take care of the home fires, and after that, if they want to look at their own development or their own structure of their coaches, there's 2 things that they could do. Is there's a 360 have alone, that's now very structured. Also, Michael Fennelly, former Kildare hurler, has an energetics profile, which there's 5 or 6 different questions, and it just sets out what sort of person you are, and it can give you some guidelines. Now again, that needs structure, and needs backup. It needs probably professional support. If I was as a coach, what I've done probably itself is I looked at the last couple of training sessions that the girls have had, and I've broke it down. What time were they on and off, and in what percentage of time were they actually working or listening to me? What percentage was the ball? What percentage was my warm up good? My warm up, or the warm up I generally do, is based on the Ulster University warm up that they're doing. I think the Camogie Association are supporting that as well. And if you want to see it, Rebel O website is a very good way of doing it, or to have it in very, very good detail. Or how you would improve your training session. Don't try and boil the ocean. Don't try and say, right, I'm going to change everything, because you as a coach have been put in a job that people trust you, they believe that you're capable of doing it. So tweak what you want to do. Don't come back and have a total new game plan, because are you playing to your county strengths, the type of game that your county play or your club plays? Or go back and, is it the strengths that your team play? Are you doing that? Do you have a big, strong team that can muscle around or play a physical game? Are you a small, fast team? So look at that. Look at the type of strengths. What way do you want to play? It's all down to skills. I believe it's all the skills, and everything else comes back into it. And maybe look at the archives of the GA who have announced there the last couple of weeks, and what type of game and how the game has developed. You don't realize it's like reading a book page by page. You don't realize it. When you go back and say, whoa, there's a lot after changing here in the last 5 years. We've become more professional. We want more. There's a greater quest for knowledge, for information, and you'll be seeing that in the queries that you're getting over the last, and this is probably an example of it. People just want more. They want to know that they're doing right. But I think the coaches have to trust themselves and trust their instinct, that they're educated and they know what they're doing. So just trust yourself.
Super. Orla, if any coaches do want to put some sort of improvement plan in place for themselves, is there any methods you'd recommend, or any resources that you've used yourself that are decent?
Yeah, well, I think in terms of self-development, like, GAA, Camogie, hurling, we're no different to any other aspect of life. Like, you need to educate yourself. You need to kind of keep yourself updated as to what's going on. And like, I suppose the great thing about our sport is it's always changing, and there's always new things happening, and you need to kind of, you need to keep up to date with that. But I would say to all coaches, and the best place to start is learning.gaa.ie. Like, it's absolutely fantastic. Like, talk about having your finger on the pulse. Like, if you go in there and click on nursery, if you have kids at home, even just for parents now watching this, if you click on nursery and you have young kids at home, there's little mini games in there you can go out and do in the garden. If you click on what we're talking about tonight, which is the youths, like, you click on 13 to 17-year-olds, and you can go in there, and for every skill you will have skill cards, you'll have the main teaching points, you'll have videos, small-sided games, conditioned games, strength and conditioning. Like, if there's an area of weakness in your coaching at all, you'll find the answer in there. Like, if the warm-up isn't something you're fully sure of, you're not that sure of, maybe you think your warm-up is old-fashioned or something like that, there's a warm-up in there called the GA15, and it's absolutely brilliant. So, like, in terms of educating yourself, I would say that is the first port of call, learning.gaa.ie, and it's been updated all of the time. Like, I actually use it in school with my transition years for their coaching module, that they're given their skill, they have to become the coaches, and they have to train the first years in school, and it's so easy to follow. You just can't go wrong. So for me, I just think it's absolutely brilliant. And for anyone training adults and stuff like that, there's great conferences in there. For all the past conferences are in there, and you learn from the experts as such and their ideas, and some of their ideas resonate with you. So I just think you could spend your evenings on learning.gaa.ie, and you find something every time you go on it. You find something new and say, I'll try it. And you know what the great thing is, you might start making a list of, I might try that now when I go back. Write it down. Or save it whatever way you do digitally, because you'll forget. You look at something Monday night and you've seen 20 more things by Friday night. Write it down. I came across a great resource the other day from Niall Corcoran in Kilmacud Crokes, where he designed a kind of fitness skills booklet. I think it was for under 8s, but you could adapt it to this age group. So they had to practice the skill a day, 5 days a week for 8 weeks, and then there was a skills test at the end of it. Now, I don't know what the prize was. I'm sure it was very inclusive, so it could be a novelty prize or whatever it is. But we're all doing these skills challenges at the moment, and in our club, the manager of the intermediates is giving away a free pair of boots, so it's going to have to get terribly competitive. But it's all about trying new things, and some things work and some things don't, but you don't know until you try it. So I would say go to that resource and pick things you think could work maybe with your age group, and if they don't work with this group, they might work with another group. I just think it's brilliant. You just go into the planner section and it's absolutely brilliant, and very, very progressive. The other thing I would say is, like, coaches are always looking for new drills. So you go to a match and you watch the warm-up and you're thinking, God, I might try that. Or you're at someone else's club match and you're watching their warm-up or their drills before the match. We're always looking for new drills. So like, talking to people obviously is brilliant, but there are books you can order. Just a few I've ordered lately just from the Dublin GA website. There was one on strength and conditioning, just basic bodyweight exercises, and there was one on GA development skills, and it's brilliant, really good. It's like what every coach is looking for. You're looking for new drills. So when I get back down the pitch, we'll try some of them. When I get back in school with the kids, we'll try some of them. So it doesn't all have to be online. If you go on the Dublin GA website, they have loads of books for sale, and they're only like 12, 13 euros. So I found those very good as well. There's other areas to do with coaching that sometimes we don't think about, like, some people love the psychology of sport. So if that's an area you're interested in, I say go and order a book, like Enda McNulty's book, those kind of things. You'll find them online, and to order them. And I'd say keep educating yourself, keep interested, keep the passion up. I think when you stop doing that, you'll become stale. And like, this is a hard time on people, and people are very worried. And I would say, worried about family, and life gets hard when you can't go any more than 2 kilometres from your home. So keep the motivation up for yourself and keep looking things up. And again, as I said, if I was to start anywhere, I would start with the GA website, because I absolutely think it's just top class.
Yeah, good stuff. And on that, Pat, so have you yourself used any of any self-reflection techniques or methods that you've used to try and improve yourself? And is there anything that you think that would benefit coaches if they think, right, I want to get better, but I'm not quite sure how to do anything about it? Anything you can recommend?
I suppose probably the hardest thing you're going to have to do is look at yourself. It's very hard. Look at the mirror and say, well, what do I need to improve on? And probably the best way to do it, the most important part, is start close to home. To start asking your mentors, your fellow mentors, right, what are we doing wrong? Not wrong here. What can we improve on? It's not wrong. What you're doing is not wrong. It's what can we improve on? How can we improve what we're going to do? there are. I'd look it up as because getting books are hard. I'd look it up. I'd Google it, but I'd use advanced Google. It's just a little bit more refined. And as Orla said, pick the area that you want. Some people have skills, and maybe we're going to skill ourselves to death. Some people are into psychology, as Orla said, but pick the area that you want to improve on. For myself, I would have looked at in the last couple of weeks. I would have said, right, how am I going to improve how am I going to improve the training session? How am I going to make it more interesting? And we sort of mentioned it earlier. Maybe we're focusing on the player 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or the top 5 that we see in, but the real under 14, 16, 17, that may not be the player, the good club player that you want. That may not be the inter-county star, because that person. So I'm looking at myself with coaching. I was saying, right, I'm looking back down along levels, and I'd be doing all the training, 80% of it myself with the session. When I'm getting back, I'm going to say, right, I'm going to delegate more. I'm going to get, now that might only last 3 sessions, right? I might say, right, and then I'm back in to revert back to type, but just write it down. What do I want to do? 3 points. Again, you can only do so much, or you're going to treat. So pick what's important to you. You want to get. Are you struggling on skills? Are you struggling on the fitness element, the mental element of it? So pick one, and pick the most important one, or the one that you can address. Be smart about it. So set a realistic target and put a time frame on it. And after that, then just take it step by step, and work for what you want to do. Work for your team. Like, you're there for yourself as well. You're there for what you're doing. Probably one of the other things is you have to remember that most of the coaches or mentors have a player involved in the team. So remember that you're a parent and a coach. There was my daughter's friend sent her a clip during the week, says with this is you, and it was a hockey player doing sit-ups, and the father would in the corner of the room with a whistle and say, coach dad, coach dad. So you have to remember that. Just step back from the bus as well, and remember that you have two roles to play. But just keep doing what you're doing, and just improve it slightly. 1% every session, 1% every day over the year. That's a lot.
Very good stuff. And last one I'd have for you. So it's an open question to the both of you. So again, as coaches, we're always asking our players to improve every day and work on their skills, work on everything. In terms of coaches, do you think that coaches should spend the same time working on themselves? And if so, what benefit would it have, especially to this age group, considering all the issues that are widely known with this age group in terms of dropout? Do you think that'll make a difference if we're better coaches? Do you think it'll make a difference to player retention and enjoyment at this age group?
Yeah, I think Paddy Butler had a very good remark or comment over the last number of years when he was in the GA role. He said, if you cannot complete the skill, you can't train it. And it stuck with me for a long, long time. So this may be an opportunity for coaches who are not going to get completely involved, who step back on the periphery because they say, well, I can't do this. Maybe it's an opportunity for them to perfect the rise, the catch, the strike off the left, the right, the block, the hook. Just get out on the wall, and they're getting their exercise. They're getting their 2K in or whatever exercise they have. So get out yourself and practice. It's very hard to ask all your players to get out if you're going to sit on the couch. Now that might sound crude, but get out and practice the skills yourself and see what you've done. And then you can go back to your team in a couple of weeks' time and say, look what I'm after doing, and you can take a more active role as a coach and pick one aspect of the game that you want to coach, that you feel that you're good at and excel on it, whether it's hooking, blocking, ground strike, and then you can take that drill, take that part of the training, and take pressure off your fellow coaches, because you don't have to always be standing back and just run the water with the hurley carrier or whatever. You can take a more active role. This is for everyone. It's a chance. It's an opportunity for everyone to develop their skills and their fitness, and maybe your own personal fitness level. It's an opportunity to take time out and instead of being out of breath running across a pitch because somebody is injured, you're able to get there and back and go again. So maybe it's an opportunity to improve.
So, and Orla, again, just in your experience from the schools club side of things, do you think Do you think it would benefit the players if you're becoming trying to become a better coach?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, if you're to sit down and say to yourself, why do I coach? I think we'll all land on the square that says, because I love it. Okay, you know, coaches do it because the enthusiasm that comes from working with young players, the energy they bring, that teamwork, that sense of morale, and like, you know, you have a great passion for it. But then you have to ask yourself, why are we losing girls at 15 and 16, and particularly around the junior cert tier? And maybe we do need to, as coaches, stand back and ask ourselves, are we coaching well? Are we communicating with our players well? Like, have we noticed that one or two players are not in the best of form the last couple of weeks? And are we asking them, you know, is everything all right? Are you under pressure? And they might tell you, like, that they're under pressure with studying, that they're under pressure, their parents want them studying, that they're involved in X, Y, and Z. So I think, as a coach, communication and feedback is so important, that you know your players. And maybe one thing we could do now that we're off, if you want to call it that, we're off from duty on the pitch as such, you could sit back and say, right, rate yourself out of 10 on a couple of things is what I would say. Like, if you were to start at the start to say, right, out of 10, how organised am I for training? Am I there on time? Have I the cones set up? Am I setting a good example? Like, out of 10, how's my time management? Do I start on time? Do I finish on time? Is there a good transition between my drills? Like, out of 10, did I pre-plan this session? Do I know what I'm doing in this session? Or do I just arrive and say, right, what am I doing, and throw a few cones out and away we go? Is it planned? Is there a purpose? Is it based off evidence that some area needs to be addressed from the train session last week, or the small-sided games, or a challenge match, or a match that you've played? Are you addressing something? Is there a purpose to it? And then I'd say, out of 10, rate yourself. Who do you communicate with? Is it the ones that are always gabby, always talking, the ones that never shut up? Like, but what about the quiet girls? What about the ones that rarely say anything? Do we give them the same time, or do we? Because sometimes they feel left out. Are we engaging with them as much as we can? Are we, you know, making sure that during the drills or the tasks that they're doing, that we're addressing them and telling them that they're doing well, or what they're improving on? Because sometimes, like within teams, certain players or groups can take over, and then we're 2 years later looking down the line saying, well, why did such and such drop out? But we did notice this at the time, because you do notice. It's just, you're so busy. But sometimes we need to stop and say, you know, pull the team back together, bring those girls more into what or into the group and what's needed, and to try to keep the whole thing. Now, it's very hard. It's very difficult, but you have to try. And I think you have to build that rapport with your players, that you're trying to bring everybody along. Because as Pat said earlier, the girl now at under 14 who's out practicing every day of the week now could come back absolutely unbelievable, transformed from using her wall at home after this lockdown as such. You know, so I'd say definitely communication, who we're talking to. Like, be careful that we're not always talking to the same group of players, because we're comfortable with that, and that we're making sure to including everybody. And another big thing for me that I would say is, as a coach, to reflect on is your feedback. Out of 10, like, do I give good feedback to my players? Like, a lot of the time there's noise at training. You know, well done, that's great job. But like, who is well done to, and what's the well done for, I would say. So like, if you're going to talk, then make it matter. So you're saying to Sarah, like, well done, Sarah. Well done because you kept your two hands together, your wrists are nice and tight in the hurl, and now you're not going to get hooked as much. So you're saying well done, but why is it well done? Like, you know, how is it affecting your game? And now Sarah knows. She's not thinking, God, who is she saying well done to? That kind of thing. And, you know, similarly, if something's not working, and you can just stop and say, look, I don't think it's working because you need to bend your knees more, or whatever it is when you're jab lifting the ball. And that will mean that you'll have more success rate, whatever it is, that you're addressing it and the reason why, so that we have, you know, we've good verbal feedback when we're actually at training. And I think it'll make a big difference. Also, when you give feedback like that and you get used to it, it means you can draw in those girls maybe they're a little bit quieter or not sure of themselves, that you can say to them, you know, well done down there, Maeve, I noticed that you did that really, really well. So that, you know, they're going home and they know that you know that they've been there. Because a lot of the time, it's often the same in the classroom. They can be very quiet and they feel that they go unnoticed. But it's about making sure that they know that they're noticed and that you know that they're there and they're making a huge effort. I think that's really, really important. It's only a basic thing, is just to reflect on a couple of things in your training, from your organisation to your time management to your feedback. And like, you can do it now, but it'll be good to do it again a couple of weeks' time, and then at the end of the year, and to kind of keep doing it, you know. And if you have a team around you, to talk to them, and as a group, just also discuss it, like what's going well. Could you do this the next night? Make sure now we're bringing this player in, or that kind of idea, that you're communicating with your group as well, with your selectors and with your co-trainers and your managers and so on.
Good stuff. So again, just to sum up everything you're saying, it's hard work being a coach. There's a lot of things to be looking at, but just to sum up, so trust yourself. You're a coach for a reason, so trust what you're doing and trust that you are good at what you do. Pick one or two areas to work on. Don't try and work on too many things at once. Just focus on one or two key areas. Keep on educating yourself and pick the areas that you want to work on, that you have an interest in. Look at yourself, ask yourself, how do you want to improve? And ask other people for their opinions. It might be hard listening to, but listening to other people is the way you get good feedback. Set realistic targets. You've got time now to work on your own skills and your own demonstrations to try and your own goals to try and make sure that's okay. And in terms of the players, make sure you try and communicate and take an interest in your players as much as you can. Ask for feedback. You'll be surprised what they give you. Folks, thanks very much for that. Last question. You're almost there. Almost finished. Last one is a simple enough one. In the situation we're in just now, where we still don't know when we're starting back. We don't know how long we're going to have when we come back between training and games. We don't know our training slot's going to be the same. We don't know about schools, all that sort of stuff, especially the issues you have for your particular age group. What would you be advising coaches to focus on when they come back, and how much can they plan for? Pat, we'll start with you.
I suppose first thing first, when they get back, let them party and let them play. They are going to be like kids coming out of school, straight out of school at break time or lunchtime, or they're going to be like a herd of cattle getting out of shed after the winter. They just want grass. They just want an open field. Maybe a barbecue or something like that, and just go at it. That's your first session. If you try and do a fitness test or a concentrated training session first couple of nights back, best of luck to you. You're probably greater than I am at the minute by the end of the session. So that's the first thing, and then just ease into it. Everybody's in the same boat, so don't panic. Don't think that somebody's going to be fitter than you or honed in. It's one thing doing sessions and hitting the ball against the wall, but that touch is going to be gone. That when you're under pressure, the game sense, that's all going to take time, a couple of weeks, and I'm sure that's going to be built into the pathway to get back playing from the Camogie Association, that will allow time. So don't have too many high expectations. Just get into it. We're professionals we're amateurs, but we're professional in what we do. One probably other thing is be aware, find out what's after happening as much as you can in the girls' environment or life. Where were they? Were they in an apartment block, or did they have space? Were there bereavements in their families? Or how does that affect them? Or was there somebody sick belonged to them? Were they sick? So just know that and give them time and give them time and space to get back in. And you will have time to get back. And Orla said it earlier, just blitz, let them play, get out and play, and then just ease back into it. And that's about the size of it. That's all you can really do, and we get back there stronger, I think, in the long run, and probably more structured.
I can see thousands of girls delighted with that, and coaches delighted with that advice there. Barbecues everywhere when they come in.
One night only.
And then the hard work comes in. And again, Orla, how much do you think you can plan for when you come back?
I don't think we should be planning too far ahead at all. I think Pat has said right, they're going to come back, they're going to be so excited to see each other. I mean, girls are chatty at the best of times, but this is going to be, something else, because they just haven't seen each other in so long physically, maybe through Zoom or whatever else. So you're just it's just going to be lovely to see everybody and to see everybody happy and all of that and enjoying themselves. So if it was me, as a coach, I would just let them at it, have a chat, and then I'd have small games set up. I'd let them straight into a blitz, a quick warm up straight into a blitz for a night or two, and it gives you as a coach an opportunity to just see who's been poking the ball off the wall, or whose touch is good or not so good, because they'll be doing all the skills, because they're small sided games at the end of the day, so they can't really hide. And I'd have my 4 teams set up, turn them into county teams if you have to, give every team a county, and have prizes at the end of it. As Pat said, it could be a barbecue, and I know the Carlow girls are never going to hold Pat to that, so he's in big trouble there. Or maybe, look, it could be ice creams, it doesn't matter, just to embrace this for a little while. And like as the blitzes go on, you'll be standing there thinking, Jesus, we need to work on the right side, we need to work on the left side, we need to work on the jab lift. You'll be very quick as a coach to spot it, and you can start planning then. You'll also know the fitness very quickly if you do something like that. The other thing I'd say here is, up until this point in our lives, I think we've all been so busy. And kids in particular, like, you know, they're not just playing camogie, they're swimming, they're doing dance lessons, they're playing soccer, they're doing so much more than just one sport. And if this maybe has taught us anything and taught our players anything, it's that how much practice you can do at home. So I think this, please God, will be ingrained in them. So some coaches might be thinking, oh, I need to get an extra session on the pitch, or we're going to train for 2 hours now tonight to make up for what we haven't done. That won't get us anywhere, because players get tired and fatigued and fed up and bored and so on. So if it was 2-3 nights a week you trained before, grand if you're a county team, or if you're another 14 team and you trained once or twice a week collectively, I'd stick with that. But I would definitely, as a coach, be keeping up the homework as such, the work off the wall, going for the runs yourself, because they've been doing it for the last month, and maybe another month. We don't know how long we're going to be doing this. So to be ingrained in them, and I would definitely be keeping that up and be expecting them to work on some more skills at home.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's going to bring, this event is going to bring a totally different type of player. I think it's going to bring a more professional player, and that they're able to do more work at home themselves. And it is, in the long run, probably make a coach's job easier, because they're going to come now with the skills. Whereas we spend 50% of our time homing and practicing and teaching skills, I think they're going to come with the skills now.
Excellent. Can you both make sure and tell me when your first training sessions are back, so I can come along to the barbecue?
I'll be a Pat session. Sorry, Stuart. I'm going to the barbecue.
Okay, that's all the questions we had for you. From the Camogie Station's point of view, I'd like to thank both Orla and Pat for giving up their time again. Some wonderful
Absolutely. Advice. I'll let you know.
In terms of from the Camogie Association, I'd like to thank both Pat and Orla for taking the time out of their day to speak to us. Thanks, Orla. Some great opinions and ideas there. As per usual, we'll put a thank you a summary slide with all the information on there that Pat and Orla have spoken about. Any questions, feel free to get in touch. On behalf of the Camogie, Orla and Pat, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks, Orla. Thanks, Stuart.